All right, let's get into it. Today, we're going to grab our hard hats and unroll the blueprints to look at the architectural tools of the database world, SQL's DDL commands. Seriously, these are the commands you use to build an entire database structure right from scratch.
I mean, have you ever really thought about it? We use databases all day, every day, but where do they even come from? Well, I'll tell you, it's not magic. It's architecture. It all starts with a plan, a blueprint, and a very specific set of tools to bring that whole thing to life.
Okay, so let's define our terms. DDL, or Data Definition Language, this is the part of SQL that doesn't care about the data inside your tables. Nope, it cares about the tables themselves, the actual containers. So think of it this way. DDL is the language you'd use to design the shelves, the rooms, and even the entire building that's going to hold all your information. So here's our game plan for this explainer. We're going to start with the big picture, the blueprint. Then we'll get our hands dirty laying the foundation. After that, we'll see how to handle some renovations and remodels, cover cleanup, and demolition. And finally, we'll pack up your complete architectural toolkit.
First things first, you gotta have a plan. Just like any building project, every single part of a database has its own life cycle. From the moment it's created to any changes it goes through, all the way to its eventual removal.
And you know what? It's really this simple. It's a three-step dance. First, you create it. Poof, it exists. Then, as your needs change, you alter it. And finally, when you don't need it anymore, you drop it. That's it. These three commands basically govern the entire life of any object in your database.
All right, let's pour some concrete. We're going to start with the most fundamental tool in our kit. This is the command that takes our blueprint from just an idea on paper and turns it into a real, tangible structure.
The create command. This is your groundbreaking ceremony. This is where you actually put up the steel frame of your building. For us, that means building a database table. This single command builds the whole initial structure and defines exactly what kind of data can live inside.
And here it is, the blueprint in action. This isn't just theory. This is the literal instruction. We're telling the database, hey, create a table, call it employees, and then we lay out all the different rooms or columns that are going to be inside the structure.
So let's just quickly break that down. First, the command clearly defines the table's name. Easy enough. Then, for each column, it gives it a name, like first name, and a data type, like nvarchar, which just means it's going to hold text. And see that last part? It makes the employee ID the primary key. Think of that as a unique ID number for every employee that can never, ever be repeated. The key takeaway here is that one single command builds and defines the entire structure. Pretty cool, right? But let's be real, no building or database stays the same forever. Your business evolves, needs change, and your database has to be able to adapt. And that's exactly where our renovation and remodeling tools come into play. You should think of the alter command as your go-to contractor for any renovations. You don't need to tear down the entire building just because you want to add a new office, right? Well, alter lets you make those kinds of precise modifications to a structure that's already standing. And check out these two perfect examples. In the first line, we realize, hey, we need to track which department everyone is in. So we use alter table to add a department column. Simple. But then maybe later the company reorganizes and that column isn't needed anymore. No problem. We just use alter table again to drop that one column. It's so flexible and super efficient. But sometimes the change you need is way simpler. The rename command. It doesn't touch the structure at all.
All it does is change the nameplate on the front door. The building is exactly the same, it's just known by a new name now.
And here's how you do it in MS SQL. The command SP rename is just so straightforward. It takes the old name, employees, and gives it the new name, staff. Done. Simple, effective, and the structure underneath is totally untouched. So every structure eventually reaches the end of its life, right? Sometimes you just need to clear everything out, and other times you need to bring in the demolition crew. These next two commands handle both of those jobs.
Okay, pay attention, because this comparison is absolutely critical. Truncate is like calling in a professional cleaning crew to completely empty a building. All the contents, every piece of furniture, every single file is gone in a flash. But the building itself, its rooms and its walls are left standing, totally ready for new stuff. Drop, on the other hand, drop is the wrecking ball. It doesn't just empty the building, it levels the entire structure, foundation and all. It's gone. Poof. Forever.
And this command right here perfectly captures that idea of a swift cleanup. Truncate table staff instantly deletes every single row of data, but it leaves that table structure perfectly intact. It's unbelievably fast when you just need a clean slate, but you want to keep the design for later. Now, before we pack up our tools for the day, there's one more essential item every good architect needs. It's not for building or for demolishing, it's all about communication and clarity. Honestly, the comment command is just genius in its simplicity. Think of it like leaving little post-it notes right there on your blueprints. It lets you add descriptions and notes directly into the database's own structure, making sure that anybody who comes along after you understands why you designed things the way you did.
So why does this matter? Well, it's all about documentation and teamwork. As you can see in the example, you can add a clear, human-readable note to a specific column. This is just invaluable, not only for your team, but also for your future self when you come back to a project 6 months from now trying to remember what you were thinking.
You know, this quote from our source material just hits the nail on the head. These commands, they're not just lines of code. They are the tools of master craftsmen. They give you the power to design, build, and maintain the digital structures that are quite literally the foundation of our modern world. So, we've gone from the initial blueprint all the way to the final demolition. You've seen the whole toolkit. The only question left is, now that you have this power to create, to alter, and to define these digital structures, what are you going to build?